Good morning, agave lovers. Welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about Agave Weberi. Today, we have something special. It's one of my favorite agaves. It's a striated Agave Weberi, variegated, beautiful variegation. And it is the pup of one of two large mature plants that I had. I still have one. It's outside on the property, outside the fence. The other one, which is the mother of the plant that I have, I did sell it to a friend. And unfortunately, that one didn't produce as many pups as I had hoped, but I do still have a couple left over. One in particular is in a 1-gallon container, and it has since outgrown the 1 gallon. But today I'm trying to figure out if we're going to go with a 2-gallon or just skip to a 4-gallon container. It is quite large, and they do grow fast. So most likely I'm going to go with the 4-gallon container. And if you could do me a favor and like and subscribe, that'd really help out the channel. Well, let's go take a look at that agave and get started. All right, here we are. Not this one, not this one, not this one. Not this one. Here we are. Agave Weberi. Okay, let's be careful here. Pulling it out. Are we clear? Yep. Just gonna back right on out of here. All right. So here we are. Let's set this beauty right here. And what do we have to work with today? Well, we have some multicolored lava here. This is what we're going to put in the bottom of the container. This is going to hold some of the moisture at the bottom, but not too much. The lava is porous, but it's just going to hold a little bit of moisture here, especially in these hot summer days. Not too much that we have to worry about, but also the lava at the bottom acts as a really good drainage so that water doesn't sit in the bottom. A lot of times I see people just put straight up organics into a container, and when they put the organics in there, a lot of times over time, when you're watering it repeatedly, that soil is going to compact, and it's just going to really become quite hard and compact in the bottom, and that's going to prevent a lot of the water from draining out. So I like to put some lava in the bottom to ensure that the soil doesn't get too saturated. When we have too saturated soil, the roots of agaves just will start to rot, and you'll start to see that damage in the core, and also it just overall will look unpleasing and unhealthy until eventually it rots. And here's some of the soil we're working with here. It's mostly coarse. We've got some DG in here. It's kind of hard to see the DG, but it's definitely in there, decomposed granite. Some organics, probably about 30% organics, a little bit more than when I'm in ground. I like to have a little bit more organics when I'm potting, so that our hot temps aren't going to dehydrate the soil too much. So also we have some various lava, and so overall it's quite coarse, but we do have some organics mixed in, and especially when it's new potting, I like to have 30 to 40% organics in here. And what else do we have? Well, we're going to need some stones here. What I like to do is I put these stones in at the bottom where the drainage holes are. If we leave the drainage holes are about this size. So if we're putting in just the lava and the soil, that's just going to all drain right out. So I like to put a rock in front of it, and it's a rock that's going to be shaped not exactly the same as the hole, so that when we put the rock in, it's just stopping the soil from moving out, but the water can drain out freely. And let's get started. We have our Agave Weberi. variegated. It's quite beautiful. Look at those striations. And I think, let me see here, we have both the 4-gallon and the 2-gallon. And the 2-gallon really isn't much of a difference than the 1-gallon. Pretty much when I put this in, there's really only about another inch around the sides and a little bit on the bottom extra. So I think we're gonna go with the 4-gallon. Makes a little bit more sense for this. So before I get started, what I like to do is I like to turn the agave over. And since this was a recent planting, we're just going to dump out some of the lava, and we're just going to reuse that for the bottom. Okay, so these Weberis, they grow extremely fast, and it's already doubled in size in a year. And so that's another reason why I would like to move up to the 4-gallon right away. So first thing we're going to do is we have some of the lava for the bottom of the container. We're going to use another container right over here. And we are going to, let me move my lava out of the way. Just put it right here. And we are going to, normally I do it on the table over there, but I don't have the room. Bear with me here. Okay. And this is the part where we're going to just squeeze the container. The bigger containers, you know, we can hammer on the side and really loosen up the root ball. But with the smaller ones, I like to just kind of squeeze it. I haven't watered the agaves in the greenhouse in probably a week and a half. So the soil will probably come out quite easily. Or the plant, I should say, should come out quite easily. So I'm going to grip the agave the best I can. The leaves are extremely fragile on these Weberis. You can see a lot of ants coming out. We have just incredible amount of ants here in Central Valley. If you're in Central Valley, California, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Texas too, my Texas friends. We kind of share the same pests. So before I see a lot of really nice roots in there. Before I pull this out, I repotted this about a year ago. So I want to keep the root ball intact as possible because I don't want to stress this plant out any more than I have to. And it's in excellent shape. I'm just going to leave the root ball intact as best I can. I'm going to collect the little stones here. Set them aside. Maybe I'll use the same ones. Same with the rest of the lava that was in the bottom. Just going to dump it in there. So I didn't mention earlier that I used the lava for both the bottom, maybe about an inch or so, half an inch, and then I also put it on the top. So I like to use inorganic mulch on the top. Here in Central Valley, California, it gets very hot in the summertime, and we don't want to use an organic mulch, or I don't even like to use just the bare soil. I like to cover the soil with an inorganic mulch, such as the lava that I use, so that the sun doesn't dry out the soil so quickly. And we'll set this pot aside, and let me move some stuff around here. I'm going to put the Weberi right behind me for now. And I don't know if you can see here, if it's low enough, but I have this little turntable here, and then I have a little washer that I put right in the middle of it. And then in this handy dandy little thing, I've got a hole, and then I line up that hole with the hole of the washer so that when we spin the turntable, it spins straight and it's not all lopsided here like You want it nice and smooth like a record. And let me grab the pot. And we'll reuse this. This has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drainage holes, and they're good size. They're about maybe 1.5 inches by 1 inch. And Agave Ticuliana, I'll just reuse this from the cactus jungle in Berkeley. So it fits in here quite nicely. And we will collect some larger stones here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, all good size here. And we're going to place these in here. Again, this is just to prevent the soil from draining out of the bottom of the bucket here. And there's enough room around on the inside for the water to drain out. So let me give you a quick little view of this inside if I can. Let's see if it'll be bright enough here. Can you see that? So those rocks aren't completely covering the holes all the way, but they are enough to keep the soil inside, just like so. Okay, now we are ready to put some lava in the bottom. And with this, I don't want to mess with the rocks here too much, so I'm just going to take a handful, and I'll put a handful around each of the stones around the drainage. So I kind of put the rocks in there. Let's see if I can show you here. Best I can. And if you're curious, underneath here, in this container, this is where I keep my lava. All right, so we have it around each of the holes. So now we're ready to put the rest of the lava in there. Your drink. And you know, if you don't mind, I'm gonna put my hat on because my head's starting to get sunburned. All right, here we go. I use the bigger shovel. And another thing I like to do is, I don't like to use gardening shovels because they're a lot of times plastic or, you know, shaped funny. I like to use, you know, all these baking trowels. Trowels? No. Baking, is it a trowel? Anyway, I like to use these. They're aluminum. They last forever. I have a whole bunch of sizes too. And here I've got the really big one. So I don't need that. Here we go. I'll just put the rest of this in here. There we go. We've got about 3/4 to 1 inch in there. And next, we're going to use that soil that we talked about earlier, maybe about 30 or 40% organics. And the rest is pumice. I love pumice. Pumice is great. Very lightweight, and especially when we're working with a heavier container or like a 15-gallon, 20-gallon container for large plants. I typically won't have any DG or anything in there that weighs too much. I'm going to go mostly with pumice stone and lava, and maybe a little bit less, maybe 15 or 20% organics. Right now we're dealing with a 4-gallon container, so I'll just use my typical mix that I usually do. And I'm just going to start spreading this in here. Probably going to need more than what I have in this. Carefully take this, set it in. Yep, we are right to where we need to be. So I don't want these leaves, I don't know if you can see them in here, I don't want these leaves to be on the inside because they will just rot. So we're going to be as careful as we can. These leaves will grow back if they break, but you know, for aesthetics, I want to keep them intact as best I can. All right. Next, we need to make sure it's centered, so I like to spin it. Out of there, ant. Spin it. Make sure it's in the center. It's a little lopsided, but that's just because the leaves are doing their thing. There we go. Yeah, it looks good. Again, we don't want to stress this plant out if we don't have to, so that's why I'm not going to loosen up the root ball. This is really good soil, and it's only been in that container for a year, maybe even less. So I just want to keep it intact as best I can. And I can see a couple of roots in there that looks like they're going to start to turn into offsets, so that's great. Now we're just going to fill the sides here. We're not in a hurry. We don't need to rush this process. Okay, so now, last step, we are going to put the lava on top. And kind of the same as the bottom, put about 1 inch, 3/4 of an inch. I apologize for the noise of the lava. It's probably not a fun sound to listen to. But music to my ears. I love lava. I love this stuff. When I get lava, I get it from a local nursery. And depending upon, I got a couple in town, so depending upon who has what and when, I'll order a few yards. They'll dump it in the driveway, and then with the wheelbarrows, I'll bring it to the backyard and store it. And for organics, people ask me what I use for, well, people ask me my soil recipe, then a lot of times it depends, again, on what you're planting. For agaves, for the most part, the organics I use is, if I don't have a load of organics from a landscaping place, then I'm going to buy a few bags of succulent or cactus soil, and then I'll mix that into my lava, my DG, or my pumice. Okay, it's perfect. Looks great. All right, the leaves are separated from the soil. It's not going to rot. It's all nice and compact. Our last thing that we need to do is give it some water. Okay, man, look at those beautiful striations. Yeah, that's gorgeous. Like I was saying, I don't need to water it too much because I plan on watering in the greenhouse tonight. So, but sometimes life happens and I don't get the opportunity to water. So I always try to do it when I can, because you never know what happens. What can happen? Okay, a lot of the water is drained out. And here we are, potted, 4-gallon pot, striated Agave Weberi. What do you think? It's one of my favorite plants, I love it. Well, thanks for stopping by. I do appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.